So I started playing Pokemon Arceus recently, and I'm quite surprised to find a lot of gameplay features I associate with Monster Hunter in this game. Welcome back, Classy Crew, to a special video where I look at 6 features that are found in Monster Hunter that are now in Pokemon. And it's very common. I just want to be straight here. It's very common for games to borrow ideas from different franchises. By no means am I saying Monster Hunter invented some of these gameplay elements that I'm going to be sharing. But for me, as someone who's been playing a lot of Monster Hunter for the last year, moving to Pokemon Arceus, there's a lot of things that make me go, huh, that's like a staple of Monster Hunter. And I'm sure it's in other games too, but it was just interesting. Just like you could look at Pokemon Arceus and say, that's in Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of elements in this game that clearly take inspiration from other universes. But there are so many things where, as I'm going through the motion, I couldn't stop but be like, why does this feel so familiar? And it's to see like Monster Hunter elements here is wild. A little bit of background on Pokemon. Pokemon is not a franchise I've really been dabbling in. I used to love it when I was like 13. I was into the card game. I was into the original Game Boy games up until Gold, Silver, and then I completely fell off everything. I even followed the anime up until Ash went to Johto, and then I was like, okay, I see the formula of the show and it's not appealing to me anymore. And the story and the gameplay was just so, like, I was all about catching them all. I love collecting. I love collecting things in games, and so the appeal of Pokemon as a kid, gotta catch them all, was everything I needed. I was like 150, let's go. I can probably still name all of them to this day. Gold, Silver's like, have another 100. I was like, oh, that's a lot more to catch. And then the next game's like, and then there's like 1,000. I was like, hold the phone. There is too much to catch. I don't have time to catch. I can't. And I also started to think the Pokemon designs were getting like ugly, boring, and forced. And so I was like, all right, I am out of this franchise. And I came back. I dabbled a bit in it with, I think it was Ruby, the one with Kyogre in it. And I have to say, my Pokemon knowledge really starts trailing off fast after 2nd gen. So I dabbled on that. I played a little bit of Moon, and I did not like that. I liked the new ideas, but did not overall like the theme. And then dabbled a little bit in Sword and Shield. I made it to like the first gym or the 2nd gym. And I was like, this is horrendous. Just the writing, everything about nothing about this game pulled me in. So Arceus, I was watching it. I was like, all right, this looks cool, but like, good for them. I'm off that boat. And so finally my son bought the game. He's been playing. I've been watching. I was like, all right, so the main gameplay is you just throw a ball at everything that moves, and sometimes you have to fight it. I was like, that looks really boring. But now that I've had the chance to try it, I can see the appeal. It's definitely a nice leisurely game that you can just quietly grind things out, and it's nice. Anyways, this isn't a review of Pokemon Arceus. Let's get into what are the similarities I'm seeing between Monster Hunter and Pokemon Arceus. Starting with the farm. I was so blown away to see a farm because I was doing quests in Pokemon Arceus. And I was like, oh, this looks like a farm. And then I got the first one, and then he's like, oh, I need a Pokemon to help me clear some things so I can grow my farm. And that's when I was like, wait a minute, can I grow things here? Can I because there's a lot of harvesting to do in this game. And of course, the farm lets you pick any item that you want the villagers to grow for you, just exactly like the farms we find in Monster Hunter. Now, I'm referencing specifically, I don't know how much of a staple a farm is in Monster Hunter, but in all the ones I've played, 3U, World, and Rise, there's always a farm. And it's very useful if you don't want to grind everything out and gather it. Hand in hand with farming, the gathering and mining is also something that was not a staple of Pokemon. This is something you could say, well, it's the same as Breath of the Wild or any open world game. And yes, you're right. But to me, it's very similar to Monster Hunter in the sense that you need to gather in order to craft. And that is also my 3rd item on this list. We're just going through the list super fast. So number 1, farm. Number 2, gathering and mining, going out into the field and spending that time to gather resources from stones, from trees, on the ground, goes a long way to getting you as a Pokemon hunter, trainer, whatever. You're not even a trainer. You're a scout or something. I forget. Reconnaissance. I don't remember the corp. I really don't remember what you are. But anyways, you're exploring and trying to build a Pokedex. The more stuff that you gather, the more things you can craft, which makes your capturing and filling up the Pokedex easier, which is exactly what you want to do in Monster Hunter, which is gather to craft to make your hunts easier. The only difference is in one game you kill the monster, and in the other one you capture it and pretend to be its friend until you find an opportunity to get rid of it, sell it, or do something else with it. Crafting, a crafting system in a Pokemon game. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Very similar to the crafting system of newer Monster Hunter games where you don't have a probability of failing, which is nice. This I love. I love the fact that I can make my own Pokeballs based on the items I gather. This felt extremely Monster Hunter because I can't think of another game that comes to mind where you're gathering things out in the field and making them. I know there are games out there, but none that resonate with me. So the fact that I can make my own potions, my own Pokeballs, everything I need is out in the field and I can make it. I love it. And the crafting system is very intuitive, fast, simple. You can buy more recipes. Love that system. Number 4, item management. And this is so funny because if you've watched my Monster Hunter streams, you know that I was notoriously bad for dumping especially when I went back to 3U, where it is critical that you manage your inventory. I kept going into hunts with full pockets, which would screw me over. And I had the same thing happen to me in Pokemon Arceus where I was out in the field and they're like, you can't, your pockets are full. I was like, oh, why is this in my Pokemon now? Why are my pockets filling up? And so you have to do item management. I have to go back to my box, dump all the items I don't need after like every reconnaissance trip. Is that what a survey corps? That's what I'm doing. You have to like manage all your items, bring only what you want with you. And that part is, and then there's a guy that actually lets you upgrade your bag, which is almost like you have to do that because otherwise you're going to be grabbing so many things. You're always going to have full pockets. So that whole item management, and there's a sort button, which is another thing that like before I go out into the fields with Monster Hunter, it's the same thing. You want to sort your items. You want to get rid of everything you don't need and only keep with you what you do need. That system, the pre-hunt, is exactly the same in Pokemon Arceus, which is super cool. Number 5, and actually I'm realizing there might be 7. Number 5, camps and chests. So the fact that when you're in the field, you get a camp, and as you are exploring in the fields, there are some missions that let you build encampments further out into the fields, exactly like Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise. I don't know if they do it prior to that. I'm trying to think. I don't think 3 Ultimate you do that, but in World and Rise, you have to build your camps by completing missions. Same thing here. And I'm going to put this together because I really want this count to be 6. But the fact that when you leave the village in Pokemon Arceus and you pick the field you want, it's the same thing as Monster Hunter, where the world is not interconnected, where you can go from like the tundra to the volcano. And I'm really surprised in Pokemon Arceus you can't travel from one region to the neighboring region. You always have to go back to the village before you go out into the zone you want, which makes it even more Monster Hunter-esque. So I don't know if there was like a producer that worked on Monster Hunter or for Capcom that ended up on the Pokemon Arceus team, but I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm loving the fact that I got into this franchise a year ago to appreciate these design changes in Pokemon. So doing the camps, having the chest at camp so that you can do your item loadout, dump your items and all that is great. And then my favorite thing that they brought in, and this was before I even played it, I noticed, I'm like, hey, that looks like Monster Hunter, but it also looks like Dark Souls. Iframe rolls. So your trainer has to fight these like souped up Pokemon in hand-to-hand combat essentially. And by hand-to-hand combat, it's basically you have to dodge them until you throw a Pokemon at them. Iframe rolling is in a Pokemon game, which is wild to me. I don't think I would have ever seen that work, but it works. When a Pokemon charges you, you roll out of the way. And if you've been following my Bloodborne journals, you'll know that I love the rolling, specifically in Dark Souls, and I'm a little sad they don't have it in Bloodborne. So now that I can roll around my boss fights in Pokemon 2, it makes me realize just how much I love rolling, and the fact that I have iframes. So this is iframes. I never even uttered that word until a year ago, but now it's very much in my life and in my gamer blood. So happy to see that. So if we recap, all the Monster Hunter elements I am now seeing in Pokemon: farming, gathering / mining, crafting, item management, camps and chests, and finally iframe rolls. All of these elements make Pokemon way better. This game is a fantastic direction for the franchise. There's a lot of areas for improvement, and I think that they could easily capitalize on the gains they've made by going in this direction for Pokemon Arceus and taking it to a whole extra level. Now they just gotta let me like hunt these things with my own bare hands and my weapons, and we're gonna be in a solid place. Let me know if you've been playing Pokemon Arceus, if you've seen themes from other games in it that you really like, or maybe things you don't like in it, and how you're enjoying the game. Love to read your comments, and I'll see you on the next stream or on the next video. So until then, keep it classy. Do 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 do. Subscribe.